duplication, it'd be like a custom one per object. And that would, and we tag it with a point, okay, like a content distribution point. And what that allows us to do is, in the future, in like a period of time when the content distribution happens or whatever, the thing that's subscribing to this publication, it would say, I've currently got version 3 of the publication. You know, what's the latest version? It say, oh, actually we're on version 5 now. Yeah, and it would just be able to then work out what data it needs to send by looking at this like centralized version table. And then the objects themselves know how to serialize and deserialize themselves, so that's how you port the stuff over, and then you can save it into its wherever it's going. Okay. So that kind of explains some of that better than I probably have done just then. But the side effect of that is everything will just get versioning out of the box. So you won't have to write that. You might just write an interface onto it so you can allow people to restore it. But all objects are going to be versioning themselves anyway if this stuff's turned on. Then we come on to kind of what we're going to be showing you today. The idea behind it anyway is our goals and objectives for the for our object. Okay, this is kind of our tick box of things that an object will need to be able to do. If we boil all these things down to objects, then what an object will need to be able to do. So objects will always use GUIDs as their identifier. That's just a given. If you're going to be pulling content from, you know, centralizing stuff, you can't have kind of nice auto identity columns because there'll just be conflicts all over the place. So if someone got these new objects, basically the GUI is the primary identifier for them. Essentially to have a single point of reference to all activities related to an object. That's what I mean. So you kind of talking CRUD stuff. One of our objects, that's just in the next bit. So if you create something, the base kind of object needs to know you're creating something so it can do stuff. The single point of reference is important so that what we don't want to get into situations where you've got code just arbitrarily like updating tables in a database where we can't get hold of that anymore. In the example of a user, everything that happens to a user needs to go through the user object. No other kind of change to users can happen anywhere else. We won't allow kind of stored procedures to write to that user table except for the ones that are natively owned by the user object.
That's going to be nice.
Well, the idea behind that is, well, it's going to be nice. The side effect is it's nice, but it's just essential. If we're tracking changes to an object and somebody goes and does a change and, you know, slips one through, we won't know about it and therefore we can't distribute that change. Stored procedures limited to CRUD commands. Now this is an ideal. In an ideal scenario, we want to try and move as much business logic out of stored procedures as we can and bring them into objects, okay? Which I'm sure everybody will love the idea of. But that means boiling stuff down a lot, so that really, in an ideal world, the only things you'll have in an object is literally CRUD commands, and that's why we can hook into very simple kind of stuff like create, update, delete, and things. Listing's not as important. You can have any number of listing kind of procedures, and I don't really mind about that. All objects will be serializable, but that won't be like native serialization. It's going to be, it might be custom. So an object might have its own kind of serialized and deserialized routines built into it. So if you've got an object, you've got full control over how that serializes. Like you might not want to serialize all the information that's in that object. So just doing a blanket .NET serialize on the object won't be good enough. So we'll have some kind of hook into it. We've not gotten that far in the prototype, but that's what you just say.
If you use .NET serialization, you don't have to do the entire object. You just mark it serializable and non-serializable. It's true. I'm just wondering if you don't write stuff that already happens.